echoes, a polished empty sound. But down in the basements, the places can be found. Yeah, with a black alternative, a flickering light, cutting through the darkness, searching for what's right. On the prairie's wide, the wind carries the seed of a truth that's growing, a different kind of creed. Yeah, with a big alternative, a flickering light, cutting through the darkness, searching for what's right. On the prairie's wide, the wind carries the seed of a truth that's growing, a different
Well, hello, everybody.
a dusty website.
How's everybody doing on this wonderful Thursday night? I know if you're in some parts of Manitoba, you're dealing with tons and tons and tons of snow. Vehicles all over the ditches and such. We got a great broadcast for you tonight. Right off the top, I want to thank everybody who's watched and shared my broadcast from Sunday night with Pat King. Well, it was Monday night. Sorry, Monday night with Pat King. My bad. It was a great broadcast. Anyhow, we have a great guest on tonight that I have not had on for probably well over a year, if not maybe closer to 2. I'm not sure. And then, back half of the show, I'm certainly going to get into just a few of the big news items of the day, some local and some not. I'll also just quickly mention, thanks to everybody who did attend the rally on Tuesday at City Hall, even though the bill was dropped. And again, I'll talk about this more back half of the show. But yeah, one heck of a turnout, an amazing amount of delegates speaking to City Hall, and our wonderful traveling reporter, Glow on the Go, that being Gloria D'Ignazio, had a great live video from that as well too that you can find on our Facebook, and I'll get that up on our Rumble tonight as well too. Anyhow, without further ado, I'd say it's been a pretty big topic for the last few years here in Canada, and I'd say it only is increasingly more so, and that is of course the title of this broadcast. The state, the current state, and the future of Christianity, and sort of like the old, more popular, common morals, beliefs, religions of Canada, North America, the Western world, and where they're kind of standing right now due to multiple different, changes and evolving situations. I wanted to have Pastor or Minister Tobias Tisson from the Church of God join us here tonight, but he had to sort of pull out more last minute because of some personal things that he's attending to. Hopefully I'll get him on a broadcast, in the near future as well too. But without further ado, let's bring on our wonderful guest here for the night. Known by many, I'm sure known by many people that are going to be watching this right now, that being Pastor Artur Pawlowski. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. It's great to have you back on again. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me back on your show. Well, we're good. We're still plowing, like I always teach our parishioners and our volunteers. The only thing we are really commanded to do is just keep plowing and keep putting that seed into the ground and wait for the harvest. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're soldiers. And what do soldiers do? We do our duty. We go out, rain or shine. It doesn't matter if it's cold or it's snowing. I mean, this is the problem with Christianity in the 21st century, especially the westernized Christianity. Most of the people go by feelings. When you actually read the Bible, you're not called to go by feelings, you're called to go by obedience. And sometimes you will not feel like going out. You will not feel like standing for what's right. You will not feel like feeding the poor and taking care of the orphans and the widows because of all 10,000 different reasons. But you're doing it because God commands us to go. We are to go. Go ye. He never said stay ye. He said, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel." And how you preach the gospel? Well, deeds are louder than words. We are to go out there and preach the gospel with our words and with our deeds. So that's what we have been doing. I mean, sometimes I feel like a broken record, because the Bible is still the same, the commandments are still the same, the commission never changed, and we as Christians are commanded to do the same thing over and over again, to be the light in the darkness. And there are all kinds of ways you can do it. The way we have been doing it is by preaching the truth. And I'm telling you, Todd, truth is, I would say, the most unpopular thing right now in the West, especially in Canada, UK, France, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia. Those that preach the truth are hunted down. We're still in courts. And the other, most unpopular thing is obedience. If you're lukewarm, wishy-washy, sitting on the fence, riding the fence, and cruising around Christian, you're fine. You're good. If you keep your mouth shut, if you don't do anything that God is telling us to do, you will do fine. And 99.9% of the so-called Christians in the West, especially in Canada, are doing just that. They are, as I call it quite often, Todd, they are holy on Sunday and they are the devils on Monday.
Yeah, and of course there has been lots of talk, lots of debate and controversy over what we see churches doing throughout the West. And of course, we can speak about that here in Canada, the events that they will allow and host and stand for, ideologies and such. Drag queen story time being just one example, so on and so forth. And I guess there's certain even churches. I don't know if they're considered denominations, but there's certain even churches or different bodies that seem to really go in that direction. I know, like the United Church maybe being one of them. We've seen quite a lot of this, and it speaks to exactly what you just said. How Christianity in the West itself has gone the way of what is sort of popular and pop culture at that time, in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, this, what we're observing right now, we have been seeing for the past 50, 60, 70 years. I mean, this decline of Christianity that is being replaced with comfort. And here's the problem in the West, that we have replaced the obedience with comfort. We love the trinkets, we love the feelings, feel good. I call it the fast food Christianity. People don't want to hear long messages. They want fast food Christianity, fast food preaching, and immediate satisfaction. I pray, I want it, I demand. We have been treating God in this in this country like a vending machine. You put a toonie in and the chocolate bar must come out, or you get angry. Or like a cleaning lady, we make a mess, we poop around, we fill our pampers, if you will, left or right, and we demand God to clean the mess. It doesn't work that way. And that's the problem. You got two categories. You got three categories of people, but the last one is very small. It's called the remnant, the peculiar people that are actually willing to obey. Then you've got the first category. Those are the people that just want to cruise. They don't want to stir any trouble. Do not rock the boat. Do not push the envelope. Yes, they do read the Bible. That's the first category. They read the Bible, but they pick and choose what works for them. And then you've got the second category of so-called Christians. They don't read the Bible. They just show up once a week or twice a week, and they listen to either a priest or a pastor, a clergy, to give them the interpretation of the Word of God. So in other words, I don't want to be bothered with this. I'm not going to read the Bible. I really care. I love the Lord, but that's not my expertise. I leave that into the experts' hands. Let them do the interpretation. Of course, that's not what the Bible is telling us. We are to read the Word of God. We are to meditate on it, and we are not allowed to pick and choose what works for us. You were mentioning the sexual perversions that have crept into our society. Well, here's the problem. whatever you're going to allow, whatever you're not going to expose, whatever you're not going to stand against, eventually is going to rule over you. And you got to remember, you're talking to a Polish immigrant that grew up in hell behind the Iron Curtain under the boots of a totalitarian regime, a police state. And you can exchange the word Nazis, fascism, communism with other ideology, or Islam, or whatever it is. You can replace that word with whatever you are not willing to confront. Sooner or later is going to rule over you. And right now, that's exactly what we have in the West. We're being ruled by sexual perversion. I don't know if you have been paying attention to what happened just a few weeks ago in British Columbia. This psychopathic, brain dead, sick ideologically, spiritually individual, a man dressed as a woman, goes and slaughters a bunch of kids, murders his own mother, his own brother. And of course, they were giving them all the support when he was a young kid to transition, take the drugs that messed with his with his mind, and he goes and this atrocity, this craziness. But then you listen to the media, you listen even to the independent media. Some of the I could not believe it, that they repeat this rubbish, this craziness, copy paste. And then you listen to the police officers briefing the public what happened, and all of those people except few were calling this man a woman. And I just could not believe it, how far those crazy people in the media, crazy people in the police force are willing to play this theater. Because, Todd, you have to understand, this is a theater. This is a political theater. This is a game. It's a mind game. And the church is at fault. The church, when there was a time to stand up, when they were taking the prayer out of the schools, the church said, well, we can still pray in the churches and at home. When they took the Bibles out of the public square, the church said, well, we still have the Bibles at home. When they took the Bibles from the immigration, I remember when I emigrated to this country, I received a Bible. I know it's a shocker right now. With my wife, when we were taking our oath of citizenship, we were given a Bible. Can you believe it? With the Canadian maple leaf flag. We received a Bible because we were told that this nation was founded upon, biblical Christian, stance, moral standards, and we are to respect that. We, as immigrants, we came from another nations, from another countries. Let's say not us, because we came from a Christian nation, but we escaped communism. But other people are coming from different ideologies, different traditions, and the Canadian government was telling all of us, hey, but we are a Christian nation, and you are to respect our traditions, you are to respect our faith. And look at us today. And here is the problem. The church decided not to get involved in politics, not to get involved in public square. So what happens when the light withdraws itself, Todd? When the light refuses to shine, what happens? Darkness takes over. In other words, I have a light right now, and you have a light in your studio. But the only thing that we need to do to remain, to be in darkness, is shut off the switch. And whose fault is going to be that we are going to do the broadcast in darkness? Ours. And that's exactly what happened to Canada. Christians were commanded, supposed to shine, to be the light in the darkness, to be the city on a hill, to be visible. Not to apologize. I have nothing to apologize for. I remember when I was imprisoned, and by the way, I wrote a book in prison. I don't know if you know, I wrote a book in prison called Lions Do Not Bow, a book that was confiscated by the Canadian government already 3 times. Can you believe it? It's so apparently, it's so powerful that the Canadian government is afraid of my write up that I did in prison. My lawyer smuggled the manuscript from jail because it was confiscated. We had to fight to get it back, and eventually she smuggled it out of jail, and we sent it to the American publisher. And we have the book Lions Do Not Bow. If you're interested in knowing more, because I'm explaining in the book Lions Do Not Bow what happened to us, what is happening. I'm teaching a little bit of history, theology, and also giving you the political actors that have been doing this to us for decades. Because right now, people thought are focusing on the biggest uh, boogeyman, right? They always have a boogeyman, and the government is very good at giving us the boogeyman. And they say, well, it's the liberals. The liberals are the bad guys. Or then they will say, in the province of Alberta, they will say, if you don't vote for the Conservatives, the NDP will win. And I'm looking at this game because that's what it is. It's a political theater. And I say, well, why can't you see what an immigrant with a funny accent sees? That they're all the same. They are all taught the same. They are traitors to the Canadian people, all of them. For the past 5 years, who did this to us? Who murdered our loved ones? Who locked us like animals? Who took our rights away? Who partied at the Sky Palace? Who traveled to
Mhm.
Florida? It was the liberals, the NDPers, and the conservatives. And when I say that, I lose people and I lose support because you're not supposed to talk bad about the conservatives. And they don't understand that the political system, it's a uni-party right now. It's like when I was in prison. Before you're in prison, you get arrested. And as you know, I was brutally arrested. I was assaulted. I was kept in metal cages. I was kept in solitary confinement. I mean, that's why I encourage people to read the book, because I'm giving you everything that happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the background story, the threats, the assassination attempts. They lit my house on fire. They lit our church on fire. And they unscrewed the tires in our pickup truck. I was physically attacked, pistols, knives, you name it. I had Antifa in my backyard. Crazy stuff. They broke into our church multiple times, stole our equipment, speakers, cameras. It's an insane story. So, but also, I am giving you a little bit of history. Who signed us up, Todd, to the Paris Accord? It was Pierre Poilievre, the savior of Canada, that did this. And then who brought WEF into Canada? It was not, I know Trudeau, and I have preached about Trudeau, and I have yelled and screamed like everybody else, the son of the Castro. But the truth is that the problem started way before the liberals. It was Stephen Harper that I met many times that signed us into the WEF. He brought the WEF, World Economic Forum, to Canada. It was the conservative government who locked us like animals in the province of Alberta. It was the conservative government. So what I'm getting at, I'm not picking at those parties. To me, they're all wicked. They all betrayed us. And if I was your king, those people would be charged with treason. They should be charged with treason because that's what they committed. But what I'm trying to say to you, that we, the church, the good people, the clergy, the pastors, the priests, we dropped the ball. We didn't speak when we were commanded to speak. We didn't stand when we were supposed to stand for the sake of the next generation, for the sake of our children and their children. And because we refused to shine, the enemy took over, the darkness took over. So right now, every cycle of election, Todd, we are lowering the bar. We're not raising the bar. Look, 20, 30, 40 years ago, if the politicians did the scandals they're doing right now, they would have no choice, give their resignation. Right now, it's every day. It's a norm. Corruption, collusion, interference, um, conflict of interest, all of it is a normal politics in Canada right now. The corruption at the highest levels, the treachery. Of course, we can talk about the so-called Conservative Party in Ontario, Ford that made tens of millions of dollars during the COVID era for giving himself government orders for for the signs and all those different things. This would not be allowed 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It was conflict of interest. Politicians are not allowed to give themselves government work. I mean, that's a clear definition. Of course, then there is China collusion. About dozen of our members of parliament colluded with a foreign entity, and they should be charged with treason. But of course, they're not. We don't even know their names. Crossing the floors in the province of Alberta, we have a premier. Listen to this. She is being viewed as the savior of Alberta, and that's the woman that crossed the floor, abandoned her party. I was with that party. It was called the Wild Rose Party. I was at the beginning when we were forming the party. And what does she do? She crosses the floor because Prentice at the time, the premier, promised her to become a deputy premier. She takes about a dozen of other MLAs with her, effectively destroying our party. And then she got elected again. I mean, she's like, I look at this craziness, Todd, and I'm thinking, and I might offend some of you, and then that's fine. I guess that's how Polish people are wired. We offend people, but are you stupid? Like Canadians, I have a very serious question to you. Are you that dumb? Are you stupid or something? And I know that this robs the people in the wrong way, but this is a very serious question. What's wrong with you? You keep electing the same devils over and over again. Every cycle is lowering the bar. So about 10 years, the liberals, then after that 10 years, the conservatives, and of course the biggest boogeyman is the NDP. And I'm thinking they're all the same. They stand for the same evil things.
Yeah.
There's very little, people say, well, they're conservative, they are fiscally conservative. Where? Where? I mean, in which aspect the Conservative Party is fiscally conservative? Because I missed it. They're not even fiscally. Forget about morally. They're not fiscally conservative. But again, when I got arrested multiple times, what they did with me, you watched at the Hollywood productions, Todd, when there is always a good cop and a bad cop, right? So here is what happens, and again, that's why I encourage you to read my book, because I'm telling you, I'm outlining all of this theology and history, and I'm showing you in real life how this psychology works against you. And it will work against you until you say enough is enough and you stop playing the game. Don't play the game. The revolving door. Let's vote for the lesser of two evils. Because if we don't vote for the conservatives, a bigger boogeyman is going to take over and eat us alive. They all are eating us alive. We are all being taken sightseeing straight to Cargill. Cargill is the slaughterhouse. Yeah, some party takes us there faster. Other parties taking us sightseeing, so a little bit slower, but we will end up in the same place unless we stop the game, unless we will refuse to play the game. So the good cop and the bad cop, here is how it works. First, they will rough you up. I was assaulted, roughed up, pushed, and they transferred me to jail upside down like a piece of meat with head on the floor and feet up. I mean, I was stripped naked and kept 3 days, 2 nights on 3 nights and on floor, on concrete lights. I mean, banging on the door. So those are the tactics. And then you will have a good cop. When they want to get the information out of you, a good cop will show up and will say, would you like a coffee? Mm-hmm. I remember this, our CMP detective, he even took the mask off in solidarity with me. And he says, yeah, that's stupid. I don't like that either. Right? That's the game. They want your trust. They play with your emotions. They play, psychologically with you. They will give you coffee. Sometimes they will give you a sandwich, and they play Mr. Good Cop. And so you got the bad and the good cop. But the question that I have for Canadians is, don't you get it that they all work for the same police department? Right? I mean, why can't you see? If a Polish immigrant like me can see it, why can't you? And maybe that's why I can see it, because I grew up in a police state, so I have seen this movie before. And I'm telling Canadians, and I'm doing my best to yell and scream that they are all the same and they are leading you into a place you don't want to go. We have to change the script or else. And right now, off camera, you were asking me that maybe you would like to talk a little bit about independence and referendum that we have right now
Sure.
in the province of Alberta. And
Sure.
it's a fascinating topic because if you remember my story, I was the leader, I was elected to become the leader of the Independence Party. So independence, from my perspective, is very important. I want to be independent from the overreach of Ottawa. I want our province to be independent economically. We want to make our decisions that affect us directly. Independence is very important. However, what we have right now is not independence that people want, but a divorce, a total divorce. They just want to throw a towel and say, the hell with you, Canada, and we are out of here. And they don't understand the concept that this is not going to happen, that the globalists are not going to allow this to happen. First of all, for something like this to happen, you need few things. Okay. And I said that publicly. And of course, that's not a popular thing, that what I'm saying, because right now there is this big vibe, independence, referendum in Alberta, getting the signatures, it's a big thing. And, a pastor with my views is not very welcome, because here's what I'm saying to people. And they ask me almost every day, I get those questions. What do I think about it? And here is my take on it. Independence without God is going to lead into another tyranny. I mean, we're going to replace one government with another government. But if the foundation is not changed, we're going to play the same game. We're going to replace one entity with another entity without checks and balances and without accountability. Because in the end of the day, we have to understand that accountability God brings. It's his standards. It's not our standard. Todd, you can have your view on justice. I can have my view on justice. So now we can have two different opinions. But the truth is that in order to succeed, we have to go back to the foundation, to the ultimate truth. And only God has that standard. You're flawed, I'm flawed, millions of people around us are flawed. That's why we need the Ten Commandments. That's why we need the foundation of God and his word. But they don't want it. I was taught multiple times, because people ask me to get involved, and in the bigger guys told me multiple times that God is not welcomed. They don't want to have. Actually, I was told multiple times to tone it down, to stop preaching, to stop telling people about God.
That was going to be my question. I was just going to try to ask. Yeah, exactly that. Like, did you really see much God, Christianity in the independence movement?
Well, that's the thing. That's why you don't see me there, because I'm absolutely not interested in replacing one entity with another entity, because it's going to lead us into the same place. And what I'm saying is a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. What we need, Todd, is we need to go back to the foundation. We need to go back what worked. And if you know history, I teach history, and I have done number of exposés on Canadian history. If you go back, what made this country strong, the strong northern free, as we like to call it, was the foundation that this country, this region, was built by pilgrims on the word of God. When the pilgrims came to Quebec area in those hundreds of years ago, before we formed a country, what did they do? They escaped persecution, they escaped famine, they came to this new world, they went to their knees, and they dedicated this land to God. They said, God, we want to start fresh, without kings, without tyrants. We want to be free. So what we have right now is a bunch of people that are sick and tired of the kings of Ottawa, the kings of Quebec. And I get that. I'm sick and tired of them. So if you are replacing a tyrant, you have to replace that tyrant with someone that can deal with that tyrant, and there's only that can do it. No man has enough strength and power to deal with those types of tyrants. But what I see in the independence movement right now is we want to restore the fortunes of Alberta. Um, that's an important thing. Money is important. I mean, we feed thousands of people, Todd, on the streets of Calgary, and I have to ask for funds. Today, I did a post on Facebook. I can show it to you, and I did I did ask here. I posted some pictures of us feeding the homeless, and I said,
Okay.
please support our ministry. The enemy is not happy with what we're doing. We need funds. So we're not against prosperity. We're not against having more, not less, but it has to be with the right foundation. Because you can give someone enormous amounts of money or wealth, prosperity, and they're going to blow it. They're going to go crazy left and right. And history is teaching us that if you give certain people big money and big power, it's going to corrupt them even more. I mean, Napoleon Bonaparte is a perfect example. I mean, you see French Revolution, you see what those kings were doing. They were eating cakes and the people were starving outside of their fence. So the people finally said enough is enough, and we saw a bloodbath on the streets of France. And then this person comes in and he says, yeah, I don't like the kings and we need to have a better system. And he was part of the revolution. And what did Napoleon Bonaparte do in the end? He got power, he got strength and money, wealth. And what this man is doing, he crowns himself as emperor. He becomes the very thing that he was fighting just few years before, a tyrant. And that's exactly what I want to avoid. And I have been telling people, listen, we are not going to succeed. And I know you don't want to hear that. People need hope, but not misguided hope. You're trying to bring independence and you want a referendum in the province of Alberta, but you're doing it in a wrong way. First, repent, come back to God. Church has to come back to God, to the sound doctrine, to the preaching. Church has to start shining in the province of Alberta. The independence and referendum needs to invite God back, because when we had God in this province, the province was doing good. There was freedom. The moment God was taken out of the province. And for those that do not know, Alberta had for over 40 years, are you listening? Over 40 years, two premiers that were pastors, Oberhart and Manning. Two premiers were preachers. They were preaching every weekend to their parishioners and on radio, not apologizing, I'm a Christian, I'm a preacher. And the province was succeeding. Now we have anti-Christian sentiment. We have those politicians that are even afraid to say God. Look at the contrast between Canada and United States. In United States, I just came back from Washington, D.C. I was invited to represent Canada at the gathering. There was Speaker of the House. Johnston was there. There was Ted Cruz. There was over 100 politicians that came to pray. Over 100. There were senators, there were congresspeople, there were all kinds of politicians that came for one purpose, to pray for their nation. Over 120 of them.
Do you see a big, I know you've actually in the last few years been down to the US, been to Washington, and been involved in events like that a few times. Do you see a major difference between sort of the Christianity, the morals, the beliefs in politicians south of the border as opposed to Canada?
Oh, Canada is hell in comparison. I mean, that's the truth. We don't have, at least I don't know anyone, and maybe there are few, but they are silent or hiding somewhere. That's why I don't hear about them. Definitely no one contacted me or anyone in my circle here. And as you know, I'm very active with some of our friends, pastors, and Derek Reimer and his trial, and Pastor Sean Hum, and others, but no one contacted us. No one came to us. So that's why I say, if they are, they're hiding. We don't see them.
Mhm.
But in America, in the United States of America, they're very vocal and they are unashamed. That's why America, listen to the difference between Canada and America. America is not a perfect country, far from it. And those politicians are no different than you and me. However, America is pushing right. Slowly but surely, they're moving into the right direction, right? Their administration is moving into the right direction. I don't know if you heard, the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, just declared that they are going in few months, they're going to um, dedicate United States back to not to God as a nation under God. So that's the top people in the country are asking God to come back to the country to be their God. Look what is happening in Canada. It's opposite. We're moving communism. They're moving God. We're moving communism and socialism. They're going right. We're going left. That's why I said publicly, referendum is not going to happen. Independence you're not going to achieve because you want to do it with your own strength, with your own power, with your own money. You want to do it politically. You have to do it biblically. And of course, that kind of a message, Todd, you know, is not well received by those people because they want to do it themselves. They think they can achieve that. No, listen to me, Todd, and I don't want to say I'm prophesying. This will not go anywhere. It's a waste of time and it's a waste of money. I'll prove it to you. I heard independence media. I'm very disappointed with some of the independence media because they went straight back to bed with a very criminal organization, in my opinion, that did this to us. They are in bed with the conservative government. They are in bed with the liberals. They're in bed with those that are paying their bills. Therefore, they're no longer independent.
Mhm.
They're not independent news outlets. They are in bed because if you're in bed with this party or with this, you're no longer independent. So, what is happening? They're not exposing, they're not talking about what's really going on. And they are actually, in fact, for the past few years, they are supporting the very organization, criminal organization like Conservative Party that locked us like animals and literally murdered and still are murdering our citizens. In the province of Alberta, the jobs are still going to children, even though the premier, Danielle Smith, has in her possession for the past 2 years the finding of the most knowledgeable and high doctors in the country telling her stop jobbing children. What does the premier do? She still jobs. 2 years later, children are dying in the province of Alberta, left and right. Elderly are being jobbed, dying left and right. We have a culture of death because when you kick God out of the country, when the church is not doing its job, well, the death, Satan, which is a murderer from the very beginning, he comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He is ruling the country. But I'll prove it to you by my point. I months ago I said when those independent journalists were saying Danielle Smith is fighting for us, she's saying the right things. Yeah, I get it. And I agree. She's saying the right things. Many of those politicians will tell you the right things, but they're traitors. How do I know that? Look at what they do, not only what they say. They will tell you what the public wants to hear, but look what they are doing. That's the most important thing. The Bible says, by their fruits you shall know them. Listen what is happening right now. And I just want to, I just want to say, I told you so. I've told you this is what is going to happen. She's going to betray you because that's what she does. Those politicians are corrupted to the core. They sold their souls to the devil and they do not work for the people. They work against the people. So here is the Western standard. You can Google yourself. It's a big news right now. I just got it today. Breaking. Smith calls October referendum, right? So if you stop here, wow, that's awesome. That's what we wanted. We wanted a referendum so the people, the public, can get their voice back, right? Good thing. Bravo. Awesome. What a wonderful premiere. But then you keep reading, all right? And most people stop there. And I said to the people, look, when she brought the parental rights, right? People say, wow, the best premier ever. She should be our prime minister. I say, well, have you read the document to the end? Because it says that the doctor can overpower the parents. Therefore, the document is worth absolutely nothing. 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 And the same thing she did, with other things. For example, she amended the Bill of Rights with the section 1, which gives the judge, a corrupted judge, override. They can do whatever they want. But here's what it says. Breaking. Smith calls October referendum, independence excluded. It's like, I told you, she's going to, okay, the public, you want a referendum? I'll give you one, but not the one you wanted. I'm going to give you a different one. And the very thing you're fighting for, you're not going to get it. That's what she's doing. And I said, that's exactly what she's going to do. But again, my problem, Todd, for the past 20 some years that I have been involved in politics and trying to tell the people, the Canadians, what's really going on. I started with Harper. And then when Kenny moved to Alberta, I wrote a piece actually. To this day, if you viewers are interested, I wrote a piece called Jason Kenney, the Painted Fox. And in Polish language, when you call someone the Painted Fox, that means you're fake, you're pretendee, you're an actor. And I told the people exactly what this man stands for. He's fake, he's not the real conservative, he's trouble. And I was ridiculed, Todd. I was in the media, I was smeared, I was called a lunatic. I think they called me nut case and stuff like this. My friends, ditched me. I lost my support because they called Jason Kenney the savior of Alberta, just like they're calling, Pierre Poilievre the savior of Canada and Danielle Smith the savior of Alberta as well. But here's what it is. She just announced that she is going to allow a referendum, but only what she is going to allow it, which is immigration, federal policies, freedom for Albertans, and stuff like this. A freedom from, of course, from the overreach of Ottawa, but only into a small certain aspect, not independence, but a little bit of our own autonomy, which is overall not a bad thing. Every little right, every little freedom we can gain is a good thing, but that's not what people wanted. Those hundreds of thousands, I don't know if you have been paying attention, but there is literally thousands of people standing all across this province signing to have their voice heard, to have a referendum.
Yep.
And she promised that she's going to allow it. Then she flip-flopped like always, and now she's not going to allow it to do it. And again, I've told you so. The same way a few years ago before she was elected, I said, don't trust this woman. I was with her in the same party. She's a whore of Babylon. She's like a high-end prostitute. She will go to bed with every monkey that votes. Whoever pays more, she's going to bed with, and she's going to betray you. She promised us an amnesty bill. She promised a recompense to the pastors for what they've done to us. She promised certain things. How many of those things she delivered, Todd?
Oh, pretty much none. Yeah,
Zero.
Pretty much none. Yeah, all just a bunch of lip service. I mean, and a lot of people do know this as well too, that she's not even, of course, even properly entertaining the real conversation of what would have to be done to really change. Like, okay, there's literally leaving Canada and becoming your own sovereign nation, or there's completely redesigning and redoing the Canadian electoral system if you really want more autonomy from Ottawa and and the Laurentian elite that can
Yeah, and
win any election.
you're absolutely right. By the time Ontario and Quebec votes, it's all over. I mean, our
Yes.
votes do not matter at
Yeah.
all. Zero. We have no say within the Confederation. When I was the leader of the Independence Party, I was touring around, and we had more people showing up to our town hall meetings than the premier had. So I have become a threat, and that's why they torpedoed my party, and that's why I had to start the solidarity movement of Alberta. But right now, they're very clever. They're very clever actors. What they do, and I have observed this for many years, for a few decades, they will give you a false hope, and they will hook people on that false hope to take them away from the real solution. So you see, if people would elect people like me, like-minded people that actually mean what they say, don't flip-flop, but actually want to do what they say they're going to do, we will have a different province. Ontario, Ottawa will have to sit down with us and listen. And that's why nothing is going to happen from this, because you don't have an individual that is strong enough as a character and as a politician. Americans, in other hand, they have very strong characters. They have very stubborn individuals. They have politicians that will say what they mean and they will do what they say. That's a big difference. They don't flip flop. I mean, the demon rats, as I call them, they do, but I'm talking about the current administration. So Trump, hate him or love him, when he says something, most likely he's going to do it. When he's threatening a tyrant, you better pay attention, because Trump delivers. When you look at our Canadian politicians, they can't deliver even groceries, even if they wanted to the elderly. I mean, there is no way. They are flip-flopping pathological liars. They say to the people what the people want to hear, and then when the cameras stop rolling, they do the opposite. And that's exactly what I have been witnessing. So going back to the original issue, why I am not involved in the referendum and independence, because I do not believe that we can succeed without someone stronger than a bunch of wannabe politicians and business people. We need God. Canada is in so much trouble, economically, spiritually, you name it. I believe we are in the biggest crisis that we have ever witnessed in this country. People from within the Confederation are looking at Alberta and they say, well, you've got oil, you've got this, you've got the best province. That's not true. If you look at the statistics, Todd, Albertans are number one on defaulting on credit cards. Did you know that? We are in a biggest economical disaster in a history of Alberta. Why? Because Albertans are hardworking people, and they what they want, since the big craziness of COVID, they want to bring the status quo. They want to bring their prosperity back. But the prosperity is not coming back because we have a hostile government that is not working for the people, but against the people. So what the Albertans are doing, they are remortgaging their properties. They are using their credit cards. They are taking line of credits, hoping that the good fortune will come back. And it's not coming back. It's getting worse and worse. And I said that a few years ago. I said, look, first is the credit cards. People are going to start selling their toys, their ATVs, their boats, their second houses, their properties. Then they're going to go into second mortgages and taking line of credits against their houses. And the last thing that we're going to see, of course, followed by a commercial real estate collapse, which we already have for about 2 years right now in the province of Alberta. And of course, under the watchful eyes of the so called conservative government, what is coming this year already begun is the housing crisis. People are going to lose their properties, they're going to lose their houses, they're going to lose their properties. Mark my words, we're entering a season of great distress for many Canadians, Albertans, because they're not listening. They want the kumbaya to come back. They want to ride the fence. They want to have uh, they want to have the cake and eat it too. You can't
Yeah.
do it. You have to choose. The Bible is very clear. Choose ye this day whom you're going to serve. Either the devil, go and serve him. That's fine. God respects your choice. Go, and if he's a good master to you, if Carnage, I call him Carnage. If Carney is a good master, go and serve him. If Smith is a good master, go and serve her, or Ford or other actors there. But if you're dissatisfied like me, well, then you have to change. Choose ye this day the Lord. Choose him and see what he is going to do with your province. That's why I believe we're not going to see anything really good without an act of God. And the act of God is not going to happen until the church is going to come back to God. Quite often we wait for God to move, but I'm telling you, Todd, God is waiting for us to move. He wants us to do the first step. We must repent. We must realize that the sexual perversion, the greed, the corruption, the lying, the cheating, all the stuff that we have witnessed in the past decades, this must stop. God doesn't like it. He's not going to bless our amazing nation. I mean, imagine if a man like me was the prime minister of Canada. This would be the richest nation on earth, most prosperous, and the freest. Listen, the freest nation on earth, because there's no prosperity, there's no real prosperity without the freedom. I remember when we were given choices, we were given a choice to emigrate to United States. We were given a choice to emigrate to Australia or New Zealand. We were given a choice to emigrate to Canada, and we were given a choice to emigrate to South Africa. And as a family, we talked about different options, and we chose Canada because at that time, in the Canadian embassy, we were told that Canada is the freest country on earth, and in Canada, no one will ever persecute us for our faith. And that's, of course, after many arrests now and over 360 citations for me being a pastor and feeding the poor. But we did not choose South Africa. You know why? Because we were told, listen, we were told that they're going to give us a house, they're going to give us a swimming pool, they're going to give us servants. My father had very strong papers. He was an engineer, and they wanted engineers, and they were bribing us left and right to come to South Africa. But you know why we didn't go there? Because South Africa was a golden cage at that time. They were not at that time slaughtering whites, but you couldn't come out with your wealth. You were in slavery in a way. Yeah, golden cage, swimming pool, a nice house, servants, but nevertheless, you're a slave. And we never wanted to be slaves. We wanted to be free. So we decided to come to the freest country on earth, to Canada. And look at me now. I mean, I was arrested so many times that my lawyers don't even remember. It's insanity. And for what? When I share my story and I say, I was charged with terrorism for a sermon on private property in a peaceful surrounding with children and farmers and truckers, telling them what? To stand for God and state given rights and to do it peacefully. 3 times I said to the people, peacefully. And I was charged with terrorism.
Yeah, that's
right? I mean, this is the state, but why? We always have to ask
yeah,
ourselves a question. Why is this happening to our beautiful country? Why Alberta is not going to succeed? Why? Well, the answer is very simple, but Todd, unfortunately, majority of people, majority of Canadians, majority of Albertans don't want to hear what I'm going to say to you. I would go even as far as Todd, majority of Christians or so-called Christians don't want to hear what I have to say. And what I'm saying is we have to repent. We have to come back to God. We have to, as a nation, as a province, we have to come back to God, and we have to do it His way, not political way, biblical way. Enough of slaughtering of our innocent children. Enough of this. Enough of sexual perversion, transgenderism, and homosexual craziness. Enough of that. Enough of teaching children craziness, because what this ideology is producing is what we witnessed in British Columbia. Enough of greed and selfishness. We have to share it with others. Enough of government taking everything away from us and taxing us to death. Canadians are paying 50% in taxes. Why? Why do we put up with this craziness so the government officials can fly to Davos on private jets and eat the most expensive Japanese steaks and bring Ukrainian girls for orgies, because that's exactly what they are doing in Davos? Why?
yeah, I
Why
believe
are we
that.
paying the prime minister, those hundreds of thousands of dollars for food? That's insanity. That's craziness. And we are doing this because we have believed this lie that, first of all, God should be kept out of the public square. And secondly, that we have no choice, Todd, but to vote for the lesser of two evils. Imagine if good people in this country, and
Yeah,
there are some, imagine good people or the people that think they're good would say, like me, I'll never ever vote for the lesser of two evils. I will vote for a decent man, not a perfect man, but a decent man that is not doing those craziness, and I want that man to represent me and my community. The whole thing would change. You know, if only one thing would be achieved by this, is it would put fire under the uni party enterprise. Why are we not voting? And I know my Polish jokes are robbing Canadians in wrong way, but I'm going to say it again. I would rather vote for my dog than to vote for those people. For a number of reasons. I think of course, I don't believe that my dog is smarter than a human being, but at least my dog, you feed him and he doesn't want to hurt you, right? You give him a bone and he's a happy camper. What do we see with our politicians? You feed them and they are greedy beasts. They want more
sure.
and more and more and more. They're never satisfied. They're wolves. They're
Oh yeah,
wolves.
yeah.
That's what those people are.
Absolutely. With what you what we were saying, very early in this broadcast about, of course, you turn off the light, and what happens, you get all the things that the darkness invites, and certainly, that's what the kings and queens, the rulers of this world, if ever before, certainly are working hard, to maintain and attain further of now in every way, shape, and form. Spiritually, physically, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
I got,
before you go, I want to read this comment because
oh,
it's a very
please.
interesting comment, and I think we should address that. Don Nichols says, "I am
Mhm.
atheist. Who is anyone to say that your God is not the right one? Again, organized religion make a mockery of humanity, and our government are dangerous and out of control." So here is my answer to this question. You don't have to. When Christianity rules, and I'm talking about real Christianity, you're free to remain atheist. You don't have to embrace anything. You can be truly free. With the ideology that we are being attacked with, either Islam or homosexual perversion, transgenderism, or liberalism, or whatever you want to call it, you have no choice. You have no option. If you will not bow to this golden image, if you will be, you will be hunted down. Also, show me a country, any country, that is not truly built and remains a Christian root, that is a good country. I mean, look at Islam. Islam is hell on earth. Why do you think those millions of people are escaping Islam? Countries that are controlled by Islam, because it's hell. They escape hell, they come to West, and they turn West into hell. Why do we allow this? And the same thing with sexual
I wanted to ask you about, how mass immigration can feed into the whole conversation we've been having tonight. Yeah, I'm glad that you kind of just brushed on that right there.
I mean, look at what's happening in Paris, France. Look at what's happening in Ireland. Go there, talk to the locals, and ask them if they're happy. Go to England, go to Germany, where those girls are being raped left and right, non-stop gang rape. Ask those girls if they're happy with mass immigration and multiculturalism.
And how unbelievable that there's pastors, ministers, and priests that say nothing about that in several countries.
Yeah, that is a fascinating story that I read. I'm going to preach about this as well. But during the Nazi era, there was a very similar problem that as humans we faced. Christians knew exactly what was happening in the concentration camps. They knew the trains with the Jewish people and the Egyptians and the Poles, how they were slaughtered by the millions. And what those pastors were telling the congregants to do when those people in the trains were passing, they were yelling and screaming, they were dying, and they were begging for help. So what those pastors were telling the congregants to do is sing louder. Sing louder. So the Christians, in quote, so-called Christians in those churches, instead of helping those abused human beings, give them water or give them food or do something. I mean, everyone can do something. What they were doing, they would stop preaching and they would start singing hymns. And if they were singing not loud enough and they could still hear the agony and yelling and screaming of the victims, the pastors would say to the congregants, sing louder. So they were singing louder, so they would not hear the screams and the yells of those prisoners. And we're doing the same thing in the West. We play the game of the three monkeys. We see nothing, we hear nothing, therefore we won't say anything. And look at history. That's why I love to teach history, because history, it teaches us what is going to happen if we will make the same mistakes. So in order to stop this insanity, we have to go back to the foundation. What built, and going back, answering this guy's post, is this nation was blessed, was prosperous, was free when Christianity was ruling the land. Because a real Christian allows people to make their own choices. As long as you're not hurting someone, as long as your choice is not raping girls or kids, of course that's where your choice stops, and my gun or handcuffs come in, the badge. So as long as you're not hurting anyone, you can remain atheist in a Christian country. You can believe in a tree as your God if you want. You can believe in a mighty dollar if you want, and you won't be stopped. In a real Christianity, real Christians respect people's rights to be different. But in every other ideology, and I'm telling you, travel around the world. I have been in many places. I traveled a lot. In other places where homosexuals rule, or transgenders rule, or demon rats rule, or Muslims, Islam rules, you have
downtown Toronto. You mean downtown?
You
Toronto.
have no rights. You have no say. It's what they say goes. And if you like something like this, I would encourage you to go to North Korea, You will fit perfectly in, or go to China, or go to Islamic nations where Sharia law is the rule, and go there not as a tourist protected by your government, but go there and live among the people for a year, and then come back and tell me, yeah, communism rocks, is awesome, socialism is amazing, Islam is wonderful. That's just not the case.
No.
Why do we escape other countries? Why we emigrated? Why Artur Pawlowski emigrated in the first place, Todd? Because we were sick and tired of communism and socialism in Poland behind the Iron Curtain. So we escaped. We wanted to live in a free and democratic society. And now that's at jeopardy. That's what is being taken away from us. But why? Because we refuse to shine. We
Well,
refuse to be the light in the darkness. The church must be vocal. Real Christians must change the culture. That's why Charlie Kirk was so effective, and that's why they assassinated him, because Charlie Kirk was changing culture. He was impacting the next generation. Our next generation believes that you can be a kitty. My God, where are we heading? Our armed forces are pathetic like crazy. Every Friday you can wear flippers.
sure,
Every
sure, of course. Oh,
Friday,
yeah.
like, I mean, you have
Flipper Friday. Yeah, it's
in
good.
a man in a
It's good.
men's washroom, you can have tampons. I mean, this is insanity. It's a mental illness,
Hmm.
but it's being forwarded in our schools. That's why we're failing. We have to change the culture. We have to let the people like Dan. We have to let them know that history is teaching us that when Christianity ruled, if you will, or was allowed to be in the open, in the public, the nation was blessed and prosperous, and people lived in harmony and in peace. The moment this is attacked or removed, taken away, you've got chaos, you've got tyranny, you've got poverty. And that's exactly what happened. It was the Christians that built hospitals. It was the Christians that built shelters. We are, and to this day, we build orphanages in Africa. It was Christians that were the nuns during the bubonic plague, and taking care of the lepers. Christians do stuff like this. We built universities, especially in this country, in Canada. And Canada was blessed. Now we're cursed. And it's not getting better. So now you don't have Christians in politics. Okay. You don't have Christians in politics. Are we better as a nation or worse? I mean, those are really
Do you
simple
think
questions.
are there some actual like really good Christians, not just the Sunday Christians like you were talking about earlier, that like still will actively support or just go vote for, say, the Conservative Party because it was the party that had more of their like-minded, morality and perspectives, or because it was more for their parents' generation, or especially, I guess, some of some really older Canadians, like people that are retired, they're in their 70s or even 80s. Do you think that that's still kind of plays a major factor into some of that confusion?
Yes, 100%. I think people are sentimental, and
Hmm.
they still want to believe that the Conservative Party is the Conservative Party of their grandparents. It's not.
And the same
Also,
way that older Canadians, I'm sure, again, people in their 70s and such, probably still believe that there's some benevolence in government because
yeah, yeah,
in some degree there kind of was more back in their day. I mean, that's debatable, but
but
it's
that's
of
the
course
problem.
it's worse
That's
now.
the problem. Um, you cannot avoid corruption. That's why we need new players. We need new parties. Because if the Canadians would choose a new party, I'm telling you, let's say, Maxime Bernier wins. I'm telling you that that new party would outdo themselves. They're going to work harder than any other party. They're going to prove to the Canadian people that they were the right choice because they would like to be elected again. So the next 2, 3 cycles of the elections, you will have the best government ever. The problem that we're facing as humans is that after a while, people get comfortable and corruption kicks in. So
Sure, yeah,
after the third or fourth election, we should do exactly the same thing, change the party and have a new players, a new party. That's why I believe in limits, that the politicians and the judges should not be forever. They should have limits because they get corrupted.
yeah,
They do stupid things and they
yeah.
get blackmailed. They get bribed or all kinds of sinister things
Mhm.
kick in. Also, I believe that fear is another aspect in this craziness that we're facing. When I was traveling, when I talk to the people, they always tell me the same thing. If we don't vote for the conservatives, then NDP will get in, and they're a lot
Of course.
worse.
Yeah.
So again, we're going back to the let's vote for the lesser of two evils,
Yeah.
and the cycle continues, which
Yeah.
is it's just like a saloon's revolving door.
Mhm. Mhm.
We
Yeah.
will never achieve anything. We will never snap out of the slavery until we will start doing something that is different. And the
Mhm.
only thing we can do, unless you want to do a revolution or a civil war, which I don't want stuff like this, I don't want to ever see something like this. What you have to do is you have to give a chance to a new, fresh party. If you're sick and tired of the a big evil and then this evil and the lesser of the two evils, then you have a choice to vote for somebody else, completely else. And maybe at the first election, they will not win, but they will get your support and support of like-minded people. I guarantee you the next time around they would win 100%
And a
because they will
step
get
that
the momentum. But
and a
if you
s-
continue doing the same thing, like this saying of the definition of insanity, keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, well, then you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. Nothing changes until you choose to change. You have to change. And that's why we say in Christianity, we say revival. People want revival, but the revival starts with me, with you, with us. We have to be revived. And the same in politics. You have to be willing to change what has not been working. Do not do the same thing. Change them. If what you have been doing for the past 50, 60 years is not working, well, do something else. Because in the end of the day, you have nothing to lose. Again, I told you at the beginning that all the uni party is leading us to the same slaughterhouse. So you're good as dead. Do something else. If you got nothing else to lose, throw everything. You know why Polish people won in the 80s? Because they had nothing else to lose. Nothing else to
Mhm.
lose.
Mhm.
That's a
Mhm.
good place to be. So I'm waiting for the
Mhm.
Canadians to lose everything, because if you lose everything, then there's nothing else to lose. You're going to rise up and you're going to change. And when you're going to change, things will start to change.
Yeah.
Accountability, checks and balances, different parties. Judges should be replaced, and some of those judges should be charged with treason and all kinds of, using the courts against their own people. It's doable. Todd, reformation is doable. It has been done before, but you
Quick.
need to have right kind of people,
Mhm.
strong people, stubborn people, people that are not terrified and afraid of telling the people the whole truth, not the sugarcoating, not giving them, a garbage wrapped in a nice
Yeah.
souvenir gift.
And so does this also, would this also you be saying, or sorry, would this also be you saying, to not be like, if you are that really good Christian, that really good person, to not go ahead and think that you should still go get involved in the conservative party and try to change them from the inside and be the one good one in there, but that you should really, kind of seek to start your own or join something independent. Because before we can get anywhere near that new party and that fresh look and any of the wonderful things that you just touched on there has to be the good people out there willing to do it. And should they just be joining what exists, or should it pretty much be, start new across the board?
Yeah, I mean, look, there is Derek Sloan's party in Ontario, and the Christians refuse to support him. Maxime Bernier, he's not perfect, but the
Mhm.
Christians refuse to support him. Solidarity movement, we did run, and the Christians refused to support us.
Hmm.
In Saskatchewan, something I know it's brewing, and the Christians refuse to support it. So,
Hmm.
quite often I get a Christian should vote for the Conservative Party because we don't have a choice, and I always send them the speech of Pierre Poilievre telling the people that his party and as a prime minister he's never going to touch the abortion issue. So just on that thing, just forget about everything else. Just on that issue, if you're a real Christian, you should at least defend the unborn life. I do not believe that you can be a Christian and stand for the slaughter of the innocent children. So if you're a real Christian, why would you vote for a political party that slaughters children? The full stop. You don't have to go any more than that. I mean, if you're a
Hmm.
real Christian, God of Christianity is God of life, not God of death. So if you are supporting that, if you will, I'll put it this way, um, a sacrificial offering at the altar of Molech. That's what abortion is. Abortion is slaughtering of Canadian citizens in the name of convenience, nothing more, a name of convenience, and is forwarded and supported by the conservative government, conservative party. So if knowing just that from the horse's mouth, from the horse, and if you don't believe me, I'm going to play it here for those that don't believe me, because again, you cannot be a Christian if you support the slaughter of the children. You cannot. I mean, I don't understand how you can justify the slaughter of the Christian of the children, and somehow say, well, it's a lesser of two evils. No, it's the ultimate evil. You're supporting ultimate evil. Listen to this.
To you, there will be no laws restricting abortion passed when I'm Prime Minister. For 20 years, the policy of the Conservative Party has been that there will be no restrictions brought in on a woman's right to choose. It's been in our policy since it was adopted by our party members in the year 2004. So this is a 21-year policy adopted by our members and upheld in all of our subsequent conventions. So there will be no laws or other restrictions imposed on a woman's right to decide to do with her body as she wishes. And that is something that I'm guaranteeing to you and to all Canadians.
So
I can guarantee.
So tell me, flip-flopping politician like a proper whore, right? That's what those people are. They are high-end prostitutes. You have to understand, I know this is a hard language. Canadians are not used to the truth in your face, but I'm a Polish immigrant, and I'm not going to sugarcoat you. They are high-end call girls. They're prostitutes. They don't care about Canadians. They care about whoever pays their bills. They work for the globalists. They don't work for the Canadians. You have to understand that. Liberals, conservatives, and NDP, they are the traitors of Canada and Canadian people. And the moment you realize that, I get it. Now you reject, you yell, you scream, you call me names. Art Pawlowski is a wacko and crazy. What I don't care. In the end of the day, what you think about me. But the moment you realize the truth, not by because I say so, but what they say and what they do, and you just Todd, you just showed the people the flip flopping, right? He said he's going to do it when prime minister, and then he changed completely 180 degrees. Just for that reason alone, he should be kicked out. Obviously, people you cannot trust a flip flopping liar. They're pathological liars. And as long as you support them, nothing changes. Nothing will change. It's impossible to have a change if you keep supporting the same actors. Nothing will change. The moment you realize that, the moment you're going to be liberated, and
Well
the
said.
chains will fall, and the shackles will be broken, and the yoke will be broken. You must realize that you have been betrayed. Those are traitors. And you must vow, just like me, I'll never ever, unless they repent and completely turn around, I'll never vote for the very people that destroyed this country: liberals, conservatives, and NDPers. Those are the three parties that destroyed this beautiful nation of ours. We need someone else. Again, if my dog was on the ballot, I would vote for my dog before I would vote for traitors.
You have anything to oh, there's one question I wanted to get you with, just but would have to be very brief on it. You've almost touched on it yourself. It's kind of funny. A lot of the main questions that I wanted to toss out to you throughout this broadcast, you basically went and kind of touched on already, and I didn't really have to ask the question even in the way that I planned on. And you almost touched on it yourself. When talking about what was going on here, before Canada, before it was a country. You mentioned the Pilgrims came when the first Europeans came, Christians, Catholics, so on, and the French. Of course, that's a huge topic of contention right now here in Canada, because the plight of the Indigenous has turned into something almost of a civil war nature in some cases when we look around Canada right now. And I've been touching on this quite a bit in the last 6 months or so. I'd like to just get a quick opinion, a quick take from you on that.
Well, here's my take. I believe that everyone should be equal under the law. I believe that we all should be one nation, not two nations. Right now, you've got a divided nation in so many ways, but also natives and the Canadians, and they did that on purpose. They wanted to keep them subdued, and it's just absolutely not working. In order for a healthy nation, you have to unify that nation, not divide that nation. I believe that Native people should receive their land, and they should be able to do whatever they want with that land, either sell it or keep it or multiply it, whatever. And
what if that was like all of Canada where you live right now? I'm just saying.
And everyone should be equal under the law. There should not be privileged people here and there. Everyone should be equal. I believe that as long as we are keeping this division, the healing will never come. Never, because it's a division by design. Only the healing will come when we will realize that we are living in a beautiful country that we call home, Canada, and we are equal under the law, and we're equal under the God, the Creator. The healing will never happen. There's always going to be division, because that's how the enemy works. Divide and conquer is the modus operandi. You have to understand, if you want to subdue people, if you want to keep them in check, divide them. Divide the family. Yeah. Divide the province.
Yeah.
And they're doing a very good job. Divide Canadians. I remember during the COVID era, they divided the white against the blacks. Remember Black Lives Matter?
Yeah.
That was done on purpose. They wanted to divide the whites against the blacks and the blacks against the whites. And I was preaching, I was telling, what are you doing, you stupid people? Don't you see the game, the plan? We're one. God created us all equal. We are created in the image of God. Either you were born in Poland or in Canada. Either you were born a native or a Pole. You have been created by God in his image. Either you're in China or you're in United States of America. You were created in the image of God. Sometimes it's a bummer that some people are born in, hell. I was born in hell under the boot of a Soviet. So I didn't like it. Eventually we broke free. Polish people did it the right way. They united and they kicked the Bolsheviks out. And in the 80s, they got their freedom. Canadian people need to do the same thing. That's why I created the solidarity movement, and I thought that people are going to embrace it. But again, the enemy came in to divide and conquer, and now they have their independence. They have their referendum, which is not going anywhere, like I said, because it's done in a way that cannot succeed. You
Sure.
have to understand
Co-opted.
it's being done in a way that cannot and will not succeed. It's
Right.
impossible for this movement to succeed. That's why I was told, like I said at the beginning, almost daily I'm being asked this question: why I'm not involved? Why they don't see me at the rallies and events? Well, because if my God is not invited, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand that we need someone stronger, more powerful than a man. The damage is so severe and has been done for decades that it will take a miracle of God to rebuild this mess. What was destroyed, only God can do it. And it's doable. We can do this, but we need to build this referendum and independence on the right foundation. And they don't want it. So they don't want it. They're going to waste their money and their time, and they will come back to the same conclusion. Oh, it was beautiful, but it ended. And at the same time, you got traitors. Daniel Smith is a traitor to Canada, to Alberta, and she's not going to allow. And even if she did, even if you're going to succeed to have a referendum, the question of independence on the ballot, it's not who casts the vote, but who cans the votes matters in the end of the day. And I'm telling you, they're not going to allow. They're going to cheat just like they did in Quebec. They're going to do the same thing in Alberta. If they're going to be pushed to a corner and they're going to allow a referendum and the question of independence, they're going to cheat the results. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. What we need is someone strong and powerful. Solidarity, someone is bringing the comment. Solidarity was successful because of number of things. First of all, they had nothing else to lose, so they took it to the streets. You will win this fight on the streets. They paralyzed their system by a general strike. They refused to cooperate with the tyrants, and the whole system collapsed. They did it on their knees with God. God was everywhere in the middle of the solidarity movement. Faith was fueling this this movement. Hope was coming from God, and then the Pope. It was a Polish Pope, John Paul II, and he was supporting and helping. But of course, there was CIA that was bringing millions of dollars to Poland to fund the movement as well. So the West was supporting. God was in the middle of it, and the people united. You give me those things, and you're going to have your freedom. I said during the COVID era, when I gave my, infamous or famous speech, if you will, that landed me a terrorism charge. I said to the people, give me enough Canadians and I will give you liberty. I'll give you freedom. Just give me enough Canadians willing to go all the way peacefully. I'm not talking about violence. Peacefully. Listen, Todd, there's more of us than of them, but we're divided. Oh, bad
Yes.
white people, bad natives, bad blacks, bad Chinese, bad Asians, bad, and look at us. We're divided, and as long as we're divided, we're finished. We're done. There's nothing we can do with the divided group of people. The moment we unite as Canadians and we start fighting for what's rightfully ours, we have to understand that this land does not belong to the Liberal Party. This land does not belong to the Conservative Party. This is our land. This is our home. And this is
That's being debated pretty hard, pretty heavily right now. But I think we've already touched on that. But yeah,
yeah,
I do agree. I do agree. I mean, that's the way I feel. Absolutely.
yeah, this is our inheritance that we have to stand up and fight for, so we can actually pass it to the next generation, to our children.
Mhm, mhm.
This is what we're fighting for.
I absolutely. Well, we've certainly been enjoying one heck of a amazing conversation here. We touched on so much. I think the way I would like to end it, as I am still anyway. Never, I'll mention this later. Would be, I don't know. I was going to say. Well, how would you tell people? What would your advice be to people? I don't know, seeking to find the right church. I wanted to make a comment on this or ask a question about this. I'm not sure the right wording now. Do you think there should be more Christians out there that need to be going to probably support a better church or find a better church? Or I'm sure we've already kind of touched on it, so it's probably something
I would say, Todd, if you are attending a church and the pastor is not speaking, not involved, leave that church. Obviously, the church is not doing what God commanded us to do. It's a fake church. Join a community of like-minded individuals that are willing to make a difference. And someone is making a comment here, Tanya. Why, as a Christian, we're talking about secular politics? Listen, structure. God is not God of chaos. He is God of order. And to have order, you have to have people in power. You have to have police officers to keep, peace. You have to have judges that they can judge, the wrong things that people are choosing to do. You have to have leaders. You have to have doctors. You have to have all those people. That's not bad, but it has to be rooted. The foundation has to be built on the foundation of God's truth, on the Ten Commandments, on His word. So, David was chosen by God, but accepted by people. So people wanted David to be their king as well. And the same way, throughout history, you need leaders, but you need godly leaders in your country. Sure. God is not God of chaos, and I don't believe in anarchy. I do not believe that let's do whatever we want. That's just not going to work. Look at that wild west. Look what was happening during that time. People were shooting each other like crazy, and the wives were losing their husbands, and wives were raped and stuff. No. That's not what God wants. He wants order. And in order to have that order, you have to have people in position of power. And who are you going to vote for? For a godly man or for a wicked man? That's what we're talking about. And I encourage you to vote for a godly people, not for con artists like Pierre Polyev, not for liars flip-flopping like Pierre and Danielle. Vote for good, honest individuals. And that's where you're going to see the change. And if enough of us will vote for good candidates, our country is going to completely look differently tomorrow than it's looking today. Be involved. Don't just say it's not my business, it's not my problem. It's going to bite you. Today they came for me, tomorrow they will come for you. That's just how it is. You will not escape the tragedy by avoiding it, by closing your eyes. Okay, I don't see anything and I don't want to hear anything. It's still going to come your way. Today is the window of opportunity to do something about it.
There we go. I like that. That's a good ending right there. Well, then, Pastor Art, and by all means, if you ever wanted to get into I don't know if I could call it debate or the most interesting, in-depth conversation about everything to do with the history of organized religion, you go talk to Tanya Marie and put on a podcast with her, and I'll watch. It would probably go on for about 12 hours. But anyways, we can't do that here. We're not doing that.
If you want more about theology and about history, go to Amazon.ca for Canada. Amazon.ca. You can get my book over there. Lions Do Not Bow. Amazon.ca. For the Americans and the rest of the world, Amazon.com. And again, it's the book that has been confiscated by the Canadian government 3 times. That tells you a lot. If the crooked government is afraid of what I have put there, you should get it, you should read it, and you should share it with others. And if you want to support our ministry, go to streetchurch.ca, streetchurch.ca. Our main ministry is feeding the homeless. We feed thousands of people. 3 times a week, we're on the streets, and that's what we do. We've never stopped doing it. And Todd, thank you so much for having me and updating people on what's happening.
I cannot thank you enough for everything. This was an incredibly, much more informative and much more in-depth conversation than I even thought we would get into, and that is just absolutely perfect, just incredible. Thank you so much for doing what you do. I'd love to see other people. I'd like to see a street church here in Winnipeg. With those pictures that I got to show earlier, And I know this happens with you like almost weekly, even in the dead of winter when it's cold outside. You can see these massive groups of people, whether they're homeless or just down on their luck or just need to hang out, talk to like-minded people, enjoy, something to eat and a warm cup of coffee. I don't know. There should be one of those active in every city and town around this country. There really should, and it's kind of sad that there isn't, but that would be a wonderful thing to see. Just go check out what Pastor Art and company does there in Calgary, and it is phenomenal. And support it and try to get it going in your community, really. Anyways, again, Pastor, thank you so much for being with us here tonight. I can't thank you enough. Please stay in touch. We will hopefully talk to you again very soon, and God bless.
God bless you. Thank you so much, Todd.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for all the wonderful questions and the comments. Thank you. Oh, there's my calling to start a street church. That's an interesting thing. Hey, with the right group of people here in Winnipeg, I would certainly be involved. Interesting comment, Ted. Interesting comment. Okay. Now, even though that went a lot longer than I thought it would, I don't really see me getting to another separate broadcast here in the next couple of days. And so, like I said at the top of the show, there was a few things that I wanted to touch on, and I'm still going to do that. I will say this, what I just learned, and I guess I've to a certain extent, I'm sure I've always known it, but I learned it in a pretty big way right there, that, it's really hard to want to interrupt a pastor, right? So even though before we even went live, me and Art, I had said okay, I got some stuff I want to talk about the back half of the show. So maybe we'll do like half an hour or so together. And he was like, yeah, that's good. Well, 90 minutes later, which of course I love to death. Very, very, very hard to even want to interrupt, right? And you just feel wrong for even thinking it. Where do I gotta have that here somewhere still. Where is it? No, not that. Oh, I don't have that. Really? Okay, I was going to just play a little bit of something, just kind of going like, oh, no, that's not it. Okay, so just, the fact that, was it just yesterday? The anniversary, right, of the Freedom Convoy in Ottawa. Hold on, is this it? No, I don't think it is. The Freedom Convoy in Ottawa and all the craziness, right? Like I think yesterday was the anniversary of when the cops moved in, the riot gear and everything all moved in, and things just went to hell in a handbasket. And of course, I was there filming the whole thing. Yeah, yesterday was sort of the anniversary of that occurring, I do believe. And I thought I still had our old promo here, our intro for when I was in Ottawa. Is this it? No, that's not it. Oh, that's too bad. Somehow it disappeared from my little list of intros. Oh no, there it is. Okay, so what is it? 4 years ago. 4 years ago today, you would have seen me playing this intro while reporting, and it would have been at this time of night as well too. When I just got back to the hotel, reporting on the insanity of the pepper spray, the tear gas, the rubber bullets, the insane violence, and what I saw, of course, at that point was one of the biggest. Was the death of Canada one of the biggest, nails in the coffin? And so, just a little bit of this. I'm going to run a couple of funny little things right now, and then we're going to end. So this is going to kind of totalize a bit of a 2-hour broadcast, give or take. Stick with me, though. It's going to be a good ending. So this is almost like the little commercial separating the first half of the broadcast to the last little bit, not the last half, that's for sure. The majority of the broadcast to the little bit of my own little spiel here at the end. So this would have been what you would have seen as an intro from us 4 years ago today. Cool stuff. The anniversary of. And do you remember this back? Gorgeous background that is. Glad I kept all those around. That's right, everybody. Please, if you like this broadcast here, if you like the last several broadcasts that we've been doing, the great broadcasts with Pat King, all the great stuff we've been doing with Pat Nealon. We got Gloria going back out there again, doing some live reports. Like she was at City Hall with the big protest. Go check out that video as well too. On our Facebook, and again, like I said earlier, I'll get that up on our Rumble. Great stuff there. Kurt Taves, Ask a Pastor, the whole platform here. And yes, I do want to apologize. I do know that going into the new year, going into 2026 here, I said that we were going to be reviving the 13th hour with Shane and Max. It simply has not been able to occur yet. I really do hope that we do. Even if just me and Max are the ones that do it, there is a chance maybe we will kind of lose Shane. I hope not, but we don't know. We don't know yet. I'm trying to get that conversation going again with the both of them right now. So hopefully we do have that broadcast coming back, because I really want to in 2026 get back into being a much more full-fledged, much more active platform. I want to say 2025 was probably one of our slowest and kind of not so favorable years. And this year has to look a lot better. And of course, I can guarantee you that will happen with any little bit of financial assistance. And e-transfer to winnipegaltmedia@gmail.com. That is a simple e-transfer to winnipegaltmedia.com. Okay. Now, to end the broadcast here, I wanted to mention just a few interesting stories. Now, with all the talk that Pastor Art was doing about, the terrible politicians and all the nasty stuff, here's a great Winnipeg example. And this is just awful here in Winnipeg. It just keeps happening more and more and more. The whole, what do they call it? Catch and grab law enforcement, catch and grab, judicial system. Well, check this out. You want to see evil? Well, to me, this is your city councilors and such like that. The judge that allows it, this is them being, evil. It's like they know it, but they still just have to do it. Yeah, convicted sex offender released. And when they even announce it to the public, it literally is read like this. Is very highly expected. Highly expected. How can somebody say you are allowed to go back out in society when at the same time the communication comes with the understanding of highly expected to reoffend, meaning raping or assaulting women, young and old, children to whatever age, doesn't matter. And that's gay. It's gay. Put it back on the, and again, where's the good Christians? Where's the pastors, the preachers? Where's the good people? They don't have to be Christians, Catholics, Muslim. I don't really care, right? Indigenous, doesn't matter. Where's the outcry over stuff like this? Don't go to don't got much of any city councilor that I know that really gives a shit. It's nasty. It's nasty to say the least. I'm gonna change my background back. There we go. Okay. So that's just unbelievable. That happens in Winnipeg and Manitoba pretty freaking often. This could be a whole broadcast worth, and maybe in the very near future. And you know what? I will. What I really got to do, it's been bugging me for the last little while. I really got to try to find the right guest or the right somebody to do a broadcast with me and do a deep dive on the Epstein files in this. But of course, I'm sure everybody knows this unless you've been living under a rock, right? Prince Andrew. And this is getting very interesting. This is getting very interesting. With just the fact that you go back just a few months ago, right? And because Trump was kind of sitting on it and not seeming to make things move like people had thought that he was going to, that it seemed like it was going to be another dupe, right? Another just dangling of a carrot. They were going, a great thing to get votes, get positive attention, whatever it is, right? We're doing this. We're gonna, oust the whole international pedophile ring. It goes into Hollywood and politics throughout America and the rest of the world. We're gonna get them. We're getting them all. And then, of course, like that was said like pretty much in Trump's like first term, right? Years ago. And of course, nothing. And again, that goes back even just a few months ago. The popular opinion on this would have been nothing. It's a dupe. It's not happening anymore. It's crap. Redacted. Oh, geez. Again, maybe this is just still a fake out, right? It's a deep fake, right? Or still just a thing to make you think it's really going to go the distance, right? Because they can always just pull an Epstein, right? They can throw him in jail, and then he can just grow a beard, and they say that he killed himself, and he will just go walk around the streets of New York. I'm just making jokes a little bit here, but I mean, it would certainly lead you to believe that the Epstein files and actual investigations, even in an international scope, are really occurring. My God, they got a royal. They got Prince frickin' Andrew. It's going to happen. They're going to get them all. Right? Well, it seems always so you want to say it, right? But what's really going to happen? And whatever does happen next and gets the next big spotlight and announcement, will it be believable? Will it be AI? So then there's that one. Also, we touched on this. Pastor Art talked about this as well too, but I did want to bring it up because it didn't get mentioned specifically. So because I think it kind of deserves to. Yeah, this is what's happening in Canada right now. It's been so. It looks like it's just going to go. It's just going to go this way, right? They're just going to be able to go. The Conservatives. The Liberals. Carney. They'll get the majority sometime in the next maybe just a handful of months, right? Yeah, ex-Conservative MP Matt Genereux, who's somebody who said he was going to resign. How freaking criminal is that? Like, not only has he completely just like duped and screwed over it, all of everybody who voted for him and supported him financially, so on and so forth. But then he flip-flops or lies, whichever way you want to look at it. It doesn't really matter. They're both crap. You know what? I'm just going to resign. Never mind. Guess what he says? He says, Carney's speech at Davos really just made him a liberal. Ouch. That's what he went on record saying in general. Yeah, that's when I heard Carney at Davos. They're talking about selling out to China. I figured there's some money in that. That's the way I hear that, right? Right? Yeah. So, but guess what? Cross the floor. Hey, I want to join the winning team. I'd like to line my pockets. Whoopi Goldberg just had to explain on The View her reason for being in the list. Ooh, Whoopi. Ugh. Ugh. Oh, imagine the poor whoever had to, whatever dirty deeds Whoopi Goldberg wanted done on like Epstein Island. Yeah, that's like, geez, even if you've been kidnapped and sex trafficked around the world, that's still the least thing that you want to see. All of a sudden, released from your little prison cell, and there's Whoopi Goldberg waiting for you. Like, oh, take me, Moloch, take me. Which makes it all that much worse now, doesn't it? Awful. And I'm not trying to make light of the whole thing by saying that it's a joke, but really, of course, it's all incredibly disgustingly white hot evil. So yeah. And you look at Whoopi Goldberg, and she doesn't look like she could be the least bit evil at all. And of course, that's not a black comment. It's just you look at just the face. She looks, part human. Oh, that's all the woman on The View, though, really, for the most part. Jeez. They reanimate those things. That's AI. The View's got to be AI by now, right? Look at that. Look at those creatures. This is the comedy part of the show, everybody. I'm kidding. I think I got one last thing I want to touch on. Although, my gosh, hold on. I'm going to bring this back up on screen one last time because this surprised the crap out of me. I didn't know this until Pastor Art mentioned it. Because I had another little Trump announcement, Trump speech kind of thing that I was going to bring up that I thought was like, just a funny little tidbit because it's like this doesn't get talked about too often necessarily. But then Pastor Art brings up this one that I got to bring back up again. Trump announces event to rededicate America as one nation under God. That's funny. I heard several different things about Trump, including the one that I thought was sort of a silly small little news, little blurb kind of deal, which is why I thought I'll focus on that one as a bit of like a fun little side story kind of thing, right? So I heard about the silly one that I was about to bring up, but I didn't hear about this. You figure this would be the one that would get first mentioned, but no. There's going to be some. Well, I'm sure Antifa likes that one, right? Oh, gosh. There's going to be some controversy and nonsense over that. But okay, here's the one that I wanted to literally end the show with. At least I still get to end the show the way I planned on, even before coming live, which is I thought I like to do this one. It's not uncommon for whatever broadcast or platform to do what I'm about to do, which is to end, especially a very serious, very heavy show on something lighthearted, right? And that's what this is. And I just have to call it up now. Where'd it go? There we go. I don't know which speech I'm looking forward to more. I'm dead serious. I don't know which speech I would be looking forward to more. Trump has prepared speech on extraterrestrial life. I should have asked Pastor Art about UFOs and extraterrestrials. That'd have been interesting. Well, I said early in the broadcast that I wanted to have Minister Tobias Tisson on with us tonight. My gosh, I wonder how that would have changed the broadcast. Anyhow, when me and him do work that out, maybe I could even bring Pastor Art back. And we'll dive right into you. So you think I can get two pretty prominent Canadian, men of God to chat about UFOs for a moment? I want to give it a shot. Yeah, I do. For sure I do. Something, I'm going to apologize just out loud to my sponsors and to my audience and to myself, I guess, because I did the worst thing ever and I didn't play our wonderful sponsors commercial, Bulldog Demolition, at the top of the broadcast. Oh, I realized that like half an hour in. I was like, there's a flub. But I am going to end the broadcast with it and maybe a couple other fun little bits. Look at this, almost a 2-hour broadcast. Haven't done a 2-hour one in a long time, but you know what? Feeling pretty good. Especially because I got to kind of rest my voice for like the first 90 minutes, which is awesome. Who didn't love just listening to Pastor Art just go? And I didn't get to say it to him as well too, but I loved that shirt he was wearing. Shoot, I wanted to mention that to him. See, he's such a strong talker. You just kind of get lost. I was almost forgetting some of my questions and such. Like, whoa. He'd say something and I'd be like, I want to say something about that. And then he would just keep going. And I'd be like, I lost my thought. That's why I lost some of my little jokes as well too. I wanted to compliment him on that wild shirt he was wearing and the cool ass thing of armor that was standing behind him. Which side? This side? That side? Anyway, did you see that? Light and shining armor with like a wolf skin or something as well too. Oh my gosh. That's cool stuff. Once upon a time, back in 2021, I was in that house when he was touring the United States. Yep. True story. He knows it. I spent about a half a week there. Okay, we're going to end. Well, yeah, I'm going to get into some outro stuff here, but I think I'll end like this. Extraterrestrial life. That's a great tie-in with The View. That's well. Agreed, Stephen. Agreed. Stephen's always out there trying to help me with a joke, which is always a good thing near the end of the broadcast as well, too, because we like to end on a joke, right? But not now. We're going to end with this. Here we go. great broadcast here. We're going to end with a Bible quote. The Lord will turn from his fierce anger, will show you mercy, and will have compassion on you. Deuteronomy 13:17. I really wanted to read that, and so I did. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being with myself and Pastor Art here tonight. It was an incredible, incredible broadcast. Again, just please, yes, one last time, and share this around. Please share this around on whatever platform. Rip it off of whatever platform. Put it onto other platforms. Do whatever you want with any and all of our broadcasts. Please and thank you, and just support the platform and what we are attempting to continue to do here. We have the Winnipeg Alternative Media has been around for now over 13 years, if you can believe that, and to continue to help us continue to do another couple of years, or especially another 13 more, then yes, any support whatsoever is so incredibly important and so blessed. And God bless anybody who does. E-transfer to winnipegaltmedia@gmail.com. That's e-transfer to winnipegaltmedia@gmail.com. You can and should please always join us on Rumble. Please join us on Rumble. If you're watching on Facebook right now, we get it. That's great. But you really want to join us on Rumble, where you can also financially support us there. You can donate to us through Rumble as well too, which we love to death. Am I not seeing that? Sorry, guys. I was looking for something here. Okay. All right. You can join us on Telegram as well too. and that's just simply pretty much the way to go find any of us, any of our platforms anywhere, is just with at WPG Alt Media. At WPG Alt Media is pretty much where you can find us, if anything. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to fix something here. There we go. Okay. Can you tell it's been a long broadcast? Anyhow. Find us on Telegram. Of course, you can email us any sort of questions, concerns, compliments, insults, ideas, anything at all. We're always looking for ideas. We're always looking for assistance. We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for help. We're always looking for guest ideas, anything of that nature. Email us, any of that, WPGAltmedia@protonmail.com. That's WPGAltmedia@protonmail.com. And again, like I said, you can find us on any one of our socials. That's X, Instagram, Rumble as well too. It's all with just at WPG Alt Media, like you see right there on your screen, at WPG Alt Media. That's it. That does it. There's nothing more for me to really say here, so let's end it with a few fun little things here to bring it right to 2 hours. We're like about a minute and a half out from 2 hours, so there we go. We're going to end it right on the 2 hour mark. Have a great rest of your Thursday night, everybody. If we don't see you again anytime in the next couple of days, have a great rest of your weekend as well too. I encourage everybody to get out there and enjoy. I think it is the last weekend of Festival de Voyageurs here in Winnipeg. That's good stuff. Or get out and do some ice fishing, but get outside. It's one of the great ways to enjoy God. Get outside with friends and family, right? What's this? I'm going to put this one. Okay. Andrew Wilson would be a great guest for failing that Gavin McInnes. That's an awkward comment, Steve. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know Andrew Wilson. So again, this is like, you don't make it in the comment section, Stephen. Follow my instructions. Send it with some detail in an email, man. And then it's a little more worthwhile. Seriously. All right, everybody. That's it. That's it for me. Good night. God bless. Take care. And this will be, and always has been, your Prairie Truth.
A different kind of creed. They say we're conspiracy. They call us fringe loud. But are just asking questions, standing up amongst the crowd. We see the vacant storefronts, the broken promises made, and we're reaching for the real stories before they all fade. From the north end to St. Boniface, the message starts to spread. A network of resilience inside our own heads. Got a problem, walls are crumbling down. Concrete cracked, the sorry sight in town. Don't you fret, don't you despair. Bulldogs here, we know the care. Dust and rubble, that's our game. We build strong and make no shame. Call a bulldog, it's alright. We'll redecorate your life. From the ashes to the light, building dreams all through the night. Nails and hammers in our hands,